We are a couple from Holland. I was a former primary school teacher. After that, a yoga and meditation teacher for a long period. And a housewife, taking care of my kids.
I was an IT entrepreneur, always into creating new solutions and building companies. At this moment, 60 years, 3 children, 6 grandchildren already. Fiona's the super mom. She's the best mom in the world, constantly looking for new learnings, always reshaping herself and interested in picking up new things. Very interesting person who pushes everything and everybody around her forward.
Okay, maybe sometimes a little bit too much. I think my family is not always happy with me, but William is very caring. He's a hard worker. He's always looking for new things to develop, to do for his family, but also in business life. We both don't like to sit still and do nothing. We are people who wants to do something. I think that we have in common, otherwise we couldn't live with each other, I think. No. That would be awful. We were very young when we met each other. I think I was 16.
I was 17.
17. I think we were very lucky because we had a lot of things that we both were interested in. We love to travel, we love to see new things, we love to see what's after your horizon. Yeah, I think that was a bond that we had from the beginning. And our love for nature and for animals and for children also.
I started end of the 80s with a software company, and we help shaping internet banking for the consumer market and for the business market. So that was, in that time everybody was blind and we had maybe one eye a little bit open. So that gave us an advantage, and that created a very young and inspiring company, which we did for 17 years. And then in 2003 this company was sold into a bigger multinational, and that gave us some financial bandwidth to push this further. But we bought this actually from our first savings money, and but it gave us an opportunity to push it further.
Yeah, and that buying from our first savings money, for me that was really exciting. I didn't sleep for I think at least a month when we bought this land, and Will is more easy in it, and he has more a better view on the financial things in our life. So I trusted him that it was the right choice, but it gave me a lot of worries in the beginning, to be honest. I think it's because that it was our savings that we put in, that from the beginning we wanted to have our ecological footstep as small as possible, because nature felt so good in here, and we didn't want to destroy things. So we were very careful in all the decisions we made. For example, we were already off-grid for 25 years.
When we started this project, we wanted to be totally independent. No neighbors, no lights around us, no connection to the grid, and that was also an exploration of more than 10-15 years to find the right balanced situation. But very interesting, and still today we are totally off the grid. We have our own water, we have our own power, we have our own heating. This is giving a good feeling.
But that is something that you were very keen of in the beginning. Eh? For me it was more the nature thing, but you were more in all those technical things, and it was a kind of a hobby when we were in the north of Europe, and we were in our busy lives. And for you it was also a little bit like a throwback to the south of Europe, and to have your relaxed time with looking after these kind of things. And for me in the beginning, of course, we had 3 little children here. It was a busy time, and we tried to do a lot of things already with plants and trees and things like that. But the biggest thing that we did in the beginning was that you took care of the house and of that everything was off grid and everything was the best thing that we could do for nature, I think. We started looking for this place, not because we were not happy in the Netherlands, because it's a really nice place to live, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with it. But because we are both a little bit workaholic, and Willie was never free from work, because if he had internet and a telephone, then he could work. So for us, it was important that we could find a place where we didn't have any connection to the internet, and that was in the beginning, it was like that. And that we really could have a holiday with our small kids. So that was one of the reasons why we looked for a place that was really into nature.
We selected the place on the fact that it was isolated, but also on the fact that it was having no cell phone reach. But we are very happy that that changed over time. That would also otherwise be, I think, be a disaster. But in the beginning it was that choice. We searched for about 8 years. So we found the property in 1999. So I think we started to search begin 90s.
Yeah.
1999 we found the property, and in 2000 we closed it begin 2000. And that also meant that we immediately started to construct. So after the signature, I think in 4 weeks time, the builder was here to build infrastructure, and we started with 2 wooden houses. We stayed there for 2-3 years. Then we found out
in the wooden houses.
In the wooden houses
that we constructed ourselves.
Yeah.
That was really nice thing with our small kids.
Yeah.
That was special. That was really special time, and we really enjoyed the wooden houses. And to be honest, I was a little bit afraid that when the big house was ready, that I wouldn't like it as much as I did the wooden houses.
So 2004 the house was constructed. 2005 it was ready, and then we did a lot of travel at that time. And at that time, begin of that century, all these programs came up to compensate your CO2, your travel. And then we came on the idea that why don't we, instead of cooperating in all kind of programs, why don't we plant the trees on our own property? Because we had very, very, very limited trees on the property. It was practically only bushes, the estevas, and very limited trees.
Yeah.
So and then we started a big project, and we designed the project in 2007, and it was built in 2008. And then we put 17,000 trees in.
Native species, 5 native species.
Yeah, you know the species?
Yes, it's pine tree, arbutus, olm oak, cork oak.
And cypress.
And cypress.
Yeah.
That was you can see the result on the back. The big trees over there, these are the trees that came from the first project.
Yeah, you can practically say every tree you see on this property is planted by us.
Planted by almost everything, because we had some adult trees here. I think from the 32 hectares we have here, I think maybe we had 15 adult trees at that time on our property. We didn't start here from one point by, okay, now we're going to change this landscape. We going to regenerate this landscape. That was not one point. The thing was that I like to be in nature. So when we were here with our holidays, I started planting trees. I think that's the way how it went. And everything went wrong, because you do that with the knowledge that you have from Holland. We bought little plants at a nursery here. And then we put in for at least 1,000 in the planting seasons. And then the next year, and after that we did nothing. We just put them in, and then we did nothing. And then the next year, 3 survived. 4, if we were lucky, 10, but not much more.
No, it was very, very, very bad. So we put effort in, but we had not so much returns. And that took, I think, years.
Yes.
And that gave Fiona mainly the frustration. So in the evening when I was still active in my working part, she was jumping into all this knowledge gaining around how it maybe could become better. And
because you have to understand, I didn't have any background knowledge about this. I just like to be outside, I just like to be with plants and with trees and things like that, but I didn't have any knowledge. How I did it didn't work. So for me that was a reason I need to have more knowledge about these kind of things, especially also because of the climate. That was one of the first things that I realized, that the climate was really difficult. So every night I start searching for things about this climate, about plants, about trees, and every year you try things out, and every year you make a lot of mistakes. And then, okay, this is not the way how you should do it. Try it another way. Next year, okay, this works, but that doesn't work. So, and that's how everything built up and how everything changed. But it took us a long time, and it took us a lot of mistakes.
I think more than 10 years you went through that cycle, and then we had a couple of years of extra drought. We had 3-4 years on a row that it really became extra dry. And that was giving the extra realization that we need to do more effort to try to help.
Yeah, because you saw that that instead of that your land became greener with more trees and bushes, we saw that our land just became drier and more empty. So that was very frustrating, because you want more green on your land, and everything was dying. If we wouldn't interfere like we have now, then the spiral would go down, because you see more trees dying, also because there's a disease at this moment with Phytophthora and climate change, drought. These things all together make that especially the oak trees now have a very difficult time. And even the ones that, like we started with a big project, we put them in, the small, very small young trees, seedlings, and then we didn't give them any irrigation. And it worked, you can see it worked. If we would do the same thing now at this moment, the young seedlings could not start up again. They don't have enough shade, they don't have enough water, the land becomes drier and drier. At this moment it is very difficult even for the native species to start. And if we would not interfere, that cycle goes down and down and down. And we see that in the last 10-15 years it becomes every year more difficult to get a tree started. Nature survives, always. Nature doesn't need us, to be honest. I think not really. So you would have a different landscape here. It would go to desertification. You would get less and less trees. We see it on lands of our neighbors, that they have less trees, not new ones are coming. We had a valley over there. There was already at that moment nothing, only a little bit of grass in winter, and not one bush or one young tree started by itself. Of course it would be nature, but it would be a nature with less green, with less trees.
We think, all kind of people have their own opinions, but we think that trees can be a part of the solution. It captures CO2, you plant water with it. Because we believe in this, we try to help to put these trees in.
It is a solution where you can be a part of it. I think it's an almost easy solution. So, and this is a solution where we both could take our part, because for me the biggest thing was that we saw that climate change was happening, and it was not going in the right direction with world and nature, I think. And we wanted to change that. And for me it was really something difficult to say when my grandchildren are 18 or 20 and they would have asked me, "Grandma, what did you do at that time when you knew that things were going in the bad direction? what were you doing to change, to help? And if I had to say then, yeah, but the government didn't do anything, or they didn't do, we are waiting for this and this and this. For me, that was something that was not, that was not
not an option.
Not an option. We had to do something. And it's not for our generation, to be honest, because our generation, I think we will
survive.
We will survive till the end. But it is all about the next generation and the generation after that one. A lot of the trees we're planting here, we won't sit under it in the shade of that tree.
No.
So it's for our children and grandchildren and your grandchildren and grandchildren from all the other people. For me, that was really a thing that we could do something. Putting in a tree is easy.
Yeah.
But to keep it alive, that's another part.
That's
really hard part.
So we didn't always saw the results of those programs, and that made us, made you mainly search way deeper to figure out what is all needed to really have a large tree. That means it's not only taking a seedling, putting in the ground, but it's taking the right plant and then having good material and then planting it and then nurturing it and then growing it for at least 3 years, supporting it, and then you will get eventually a tree.
I see a lot of programs and people are very proud and they say this year we planted 500,000 trees. And the first thing that I think at that moment when I hear that, I say, okay, and after 3 years, how many do you have left? Because that is the problem. And here we had the possibility to take care of everything that we put in. We lost already so many. And then I thought it has to be different. And everything that we put in should be better. I was looking for information mainly on the internet in the beginning. And books, of course. And in the beginning you can't find anything. But then you pick up a lead and then you follow this one and follow that one. And I always say I was lucky because I didn't have any knowledge about these things before. So I just tried a lot of things here and I saw that they didn't work or they worked. And I just made observations. Why did it work? Why didn't it work? So a lot of things that I found on the internet, I thought, okay, yeah, that could work also here with us. Especially a lot of information that came, for example, from Australia, because they have a big part of Australia has the same kind of climate that we have here.
Yeah, and if you ask us what is the most complex thing to handle, I think it's this journey that you have to learn a lot of things and keep trying. But don't forget that nature itself is also in a kind of constant changing mode.
And sometimes you think, okay, now I've got it, now I know how to do it. And then next year you do it the same way, and then you have more frost, for an example, and it doesn't work because it's too cold at night. So it's difficult.
Yeah, an interesting point was this valley was first very dry, so we put special species who could handle the drought.
And the cold.
And the cold, and now...
No, we thought it was not the coldest place, it was the warmest place.
Yeah, we thought it was the warmest place and it was very dry. But because of the swales we put in, it now becomes very wet and it was the most coldest place. So we put actually totally the wrong species. So you have to keep moving, doing. It's the same like with business. Don't talk too much about it. Make small cycles and just move and keep adapting. And that makes that you move forward. In the beginning we also did tilling the land to remove estevas, so that was a very important step that we realized that we had to stop constantly pushing nature back to level 0. We removed here estevas because everybody told us that we have to do it because of the fire protection.
Yeah. And also if you want to plant something in it, there was so much estevas because then the hills are covered only with that cistus rose.
Yeah.
That you cannot plant new ones at that place then.
Yeah.
But it was especially fire prevention.
But especially they talked about this for fire prevention. Stop tilling Then it was the waterworks to keep the water, to keep all the rainwater on your land, no runoff. Then it's the cover crops to improve the quality of the soil.
And to protect it for drought and for wind.
Yeah, yeah.
And to open up the soil so that if you have rain, that it can bring the rain down. And cover crops also bring up minerals from deep down, more up, so that there's more food available for other plants.
And then there's a whole complex part that Fiona creates from small seeds, the seedlings and the trees, and then you have to nurture them a whole year, you have to grow them, and then the whole process comes of about planting the trees and then surviving them. That means putting tubes in, because you have to water them at least 2 to 3 years. We first did it, by the way, with buckets, but that was also a totally...
Can you imagine going up and down these hills
that was also
with a bucket in high summer? Every 10 days they get 1 to 2 liters of water.
Yeah, it was
so
totally...
you had your bucket and you had your thing, 2 liters of water, going down again, your bucket full again, going up again, and then with all these trees that you saw.
Some of our kids and some of our friends
Really
helped with this, totally ridiculous. So that was also not a method to
But we did it for many years.
We did it, but not possible to keep doing.
Yeah.
So this moment we do a different way. We first roll out a tube and then we plant at least with the tube so that we can give them 2-3 years water.
We irrigate only with rainwater and not with water from our well. We can only plant as much trees as we have rainwater. So we store the rainwater in special ponds that we collect it in the winter time, and we store it then in irrigation ponds. And you can only plant as much trees as you have water collected in the winter, and you have to do that 3 years. So for 3 years your lines have that amount of plants on the lines, and then you have to wait for another 3 years. But that's now the first time that we do it like that. And that's also the reason why we in the beginning did everything by hand and by bucket, because we then didn't have to do it in lines, we didn't have to plant them in lines, and we didn't have to wait, because we could do extra every year, till we realized that it was much too much work. I think the biggest challenge here in this climate, in this place, is water. That's the biggest one, and that's also the biggest problem that we have, that it's becoming less. When it comes in huge amounts at once, so you have a lot of erosion, so your land becomes drier and drier. Our biggest problem is water, definitely.
Yeah. So catch all the rainwater you can, and keep it, store it, and use it.
Yeah, because it's not that we don't have a very small amount of water, but it's only in a small period of a year, and when it falls, a lot of times it falls in big showers, and then you have a lot of runoff, and it doesn't have the chance to get into your soil. If I could give advice to somebody who wants to start, first the water, slow it down, give it time to infiltrate. Wait a couple of years, but take that time for making all that things that are necessary for slowing down your water. Keep it as long as possible on your land, and after that, start planting trees. And we started with planting trees.
For me, the biggest success is since 2 years we see under the larger trees, we see small shrubs. And that comes because of the birds are now, which we have a lot of birds now, and the birds are helping us to plant. They spread the seeds, and we start seeing now new bushes that we didn't plant. So that is
native ones.
Native ones.
Yes, and we see that because we work now at this moment also with exotic ones. We use it as pioneers. So to get the native ones started, now you find species that you can use as pioneers, and they attract birds and wildlife, and now you see that the system is developing, and that's what we want. We only want to give nature kickstart so that it could take care of itself again. We already have areas where we don't involve anymore. For an example, Pistas lenticus is a native bush that is from here. I don't plant them anymore because wildlife and birds are much faster than we are, much better. And that's what we want. Nature takes over. Nature is always better in things than we are. I think at this moment in our place, I don't talk about other things because I don't know, but in our place, nature needs a kickstart to going from the spiral downwards again to a spiral upwards. When we were taking care of the water, then we saw the difference. Then we saw that there came a change.
Yeah.
Some people say what you are doing is not very helpful because it's such a small thing and you have a big world, and why should you do this? I think every little bit helps, and we have the responsibility to take care of our environment. It gives us back a lot of things, so even the smallest thing helps.
Every little step helps.
We are with a lot of human beings, and if we all would do our thing, that would make a big difference, I think.
No, anybody living in a city, living in an apartment, anybody even with small amount of money, you can spend €1 on just planting somewhere a small tree or shrub, or any next step is okay.
Or if you have a big terrace in your city, just take out the tiles and make a flower garden in your garden. If you don't have the money or the land or the place where you can put and start planting trees or shrubs by yourself, then you still can help organizations that are doing these kind of things. And another thing is what I did already for I think my whole life is when I see somewhere a young tree that is in a place that I think, okay, this will not survive here or it will be taken off or something like that, I take it out and I plant it somewhere where I think it has a better chance. So it's not quite how it should be, I think, but that's what I did. They call it guerrilla planters. Yeah. And I don't have the illusion that we are doing it in the right way. No. I don't have that illusion at all, but at least we are trying.
Yeah.
And that's what counts, I think.
I think the call to action for people is not about copying what you see here, but it's doing any action which is connected to your own capabilities, from demonstrating to making videos to anything which is connected to your capability will help.
What are your talents? And maybe you can develop new ones. That's really interesting. If you would have said to me 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you would do this the whole day, you would make seedlings and you have a lot of knowledge of that, I would have laughed and said never, 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 never. I couldn't even have a cactus alive. So never say never, and be surprised for all the talents that you have inside and you still don't know that you have them.